Fox forks, from factory to performance elite to performance to rhythm. So 4 different forks, 4 different feature sets. What are the subtle differences between them? Let's take a closer look. And I'm gonna focus on the FOX34 trail fork lineup, not only because I have them in my hands and on that bike, but because FOX34 offers all 4 options. I will use 3 different criteria. Number 1 is gonna be the overall build of the forks. Number 2 is gonna be the air spring and the damper. And number 3 is gonna be the weight difference. But why don't we focus on the overall build first? And the 3 forks on the left are 2022 generation, whereas the rhythm, this is timeless. I don't think I've seen this changed in the last 5 years or so. And if you look carefully, starting with the arch, you can see how that was redesigned at the time, not only to save weight, but they say this is also stiffer, quite different than that squarish type of shape that you see on the rhythm. If you look here at the bottom of your steerer tube, you're gonna see a wider flange on this new design versus the rhythm. Talking about the rhythm, you can see the CSU and how it's not as nicely sculpted as you see it on the other forks. And then as you come down, they don't differ that much aside from maybe the graphical elements that they use. Yes, I know this is a step cast fork, but I wanted to talk about that as well. These would come either with a through axle like this, like a bolt, or this is what they call the 50mm QR, the quick release. From the back, you can see that serial number right there at the top. Scan that QR code to get the exact information of each fork. Also, if you look at the lowers, you're gonna see this bypass channel that was introduced in 2022. You are not gonna find that on the rhythm, so it's a simpler fork. And you can see the back of that arch with the 2 threaded holes that can take either the FOX life valve, the electronic suspension sensor, or some of these can install a Syncross fender. You can find that online, but it's not made by Fox. Air springs on these forks are similar, but they're not the same. They can all be fine-tuned using the volume spacers, the green ones included in the box. And you can see here the description, extra volume. Indeed, Fox says that this new generation of air spring has more positive and negative volume. Believe it or not, the step cast on this guy, you can even adjust the negative volume using spacers as well. The rhythm, this one doesn't provide you anything fancy like that. It's a good fork, don't get me wrong, but you wouldn't have that additional volume in the 2 chambers. And if you're interested in adjusting the travel on these forks, FOX34 chassis, whether it's rhythm or nuts, provide you usually with air shafts from 120 to 140 millimeters. If you're looking at the step cast, this comes in 100 or 120, but there is a 110 millimeter shaft available as a kit. On the right leg, Fox has 3 distinct dampers that kind of provides us 4 options. And the first one is this, what's called the Fit 4 damper that's been around forever. This is a 3-position damper that also has a fine tune for that open position. You have about 20 clicks right here in the middle of the knob. The next one up, it's gonna be an older damper as well. It is what's called the grip damper. It would come on the Fox Performance and the Rhythm, and it's actually the second and the third damper in my list. Even though it's grip, this one, Fox says that it's 3-position. There's a position here, there's a position there, so that's 3, and you have clicks between these 3 steps. You move over to the Rhythm, and Fox calls this a 2-position damper. You don't have any clicks whatsoever over here, and you can adjust it whichever way you want it, but you have no idea pretty much where you are. The last damper from Fox is actually an upgrade to both Fit 4 and Grip. It's called Grip 2, that uses their proprietary VVC technology, not only to provide us with an amazingly plush fork, but also with great tunability. That is only available on factory forks, so the ones that come with Kashima coating. However, you can buy the Grip 2 damper as an upgrade kit and install it in your FOX34. And if you guys did that, I would be very curious to hear your opinion. How did you like the Grip 2 versus the Fit 4 or Grip? Let us know in the comments below. And one last way to compare these forks would be weight. I do have a FOX34 SC, which is the lightest of them all. This is the Performance Elite that only differs from factory in the color of the stanchions. This is the Fit 4, so we can measure this as well. But why don't we put them on the scale and talk numbers? To keep it simple, I have removed the throw axles. Here's the Cobalt coming up to 44 grams. The 15mm QR, as Fox calls it, 81 grams. And if we look at the SC, so 34 SC, this is the cross-country, down-country fork, uncut steer, 1474, adds the through axle, and that makes it to 1518 grams. Performance Elite, this is a 130 fork with a Fit 4 damper. Don't worry about that crown race because I have deducted it already. This one is 1687 grams. Again, you're gonna need some sort of an axle, and I'm using the light one. So 1730 grams, and this would be exactly the same if we had the Kashima coating here on the stanchions with the Fit 4 damper. If we were to add the Grip 2 damper to a chassis like this, that's about 70 grams heavier, so 1800 grams. The 34 Performance, which has the ugliest decals, by the way. This is the first one with the Grip damper. This one comes to 1775. We need an axle of some sort, and here it is, 1820 grams. And finally, the Rhythm fork. This one has the steer cut already. I'm gonna add a piece of steer, so 1967. And if we are to add the same through axle, this brings it up to 2010 grams. That is because not only the shape of the lowers that is different, but because the lowers are made out of heavier material as well. So I've taken you from FOX34 to FOX34 SC, but if you guys paid attention in the top right corner of that Fox page, you also have the e-bike version of this FOX34, but I've never had a chance to look at one, so that's the reason why I didn't cover it in today's video. If we are to talk about availability, Fox Factory and Fox Performance are available in the store. When it comes to Rhythm and Performance Elite, these are OEM only, meaning they would come on a brand new bike. However, look for them on the used market as fresh takeoffs. They're usually a great deal. And if I want to finish this off, let's just talk about my experience. When it comes to FOX34 forks, we're kind of spoiled because you can cover from cross-country or down-country all the way up to trail, even more aggressive trail riding, especially when you have a FOX34 140, let's say, with a Grip 2 damper. All of these are very good forks, and even the Grip damper is actually quite good. It might not provide all the bells and whistles, but for the money, that would be amazing compared to more of an entry-level fork, especially the ones that come from RockShox. What do you guys think? What is your experience with Fox forks? Do you have any questions for me? Let me know in the comments below. Hope you found this useful, and if you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. And until next time, hope to see you folks on the trails. Cheers, guys. Cheers.